I know every generation says the youth has destroyed the nice things of their time, and there's already been a lot of discussion about the death of subcultures. I don't necessarily think this is true, however. I don't think that subcultures can completely disappear as long as humans are around, but it definitely has changed. The term aesthetic seems to have taken over what we used to think of as subculture, but with just the style and visual elements rather than much of the substance. Some aesthetics are just that, purely based on fashion trends of a certain time period like Y2K or the 70s, which seems to be the most popular fashion eras right now. But many aesthetics take inspiration not just from fashion, but from different groups and communities that actually involve a lot more than just clothes. When I think of an aesthetic within our contemporary cultural landscape, it reminds me more of like a costume or role play. This is also because of how the online presentation of ourselves has almost become more important than our real life presence in almost every aspect, socially, professionally, and even romantically. Our style has become a visual mood board of elements that we like about certain subcultures or lifestyles, more so than a reflection of our actual life and personal interests. For example, there's a ton of aesthetics that stem from hip hop culture, like the baddie aesthetic, which adopts stylistic elements from hip hop, but it's completely removed from the music and the political history of the art form that inspired the looks. This can also apply to punk, where so many people seem to love the style, but are either oblivious or maybe just unaware of the anti establishment, anti capitalist, anti consumerist ethos of punk. I think this one is especially ironic because aesthetics tend to be very disposable and costume like in nature. So it kind of directly goes against the anti consumerist spirit of the punk subculture. But it's not just music based subcultures. The skater look has been a huge one where the subculture style has become very mainstream. You can see people on social media or on the streets who look like a typical kid you would find at a skate park in the 90s or something, but they don't skate. Of course, there were always people who dress similarly to skaters because that's just the popular regional way of dress in their neighborhood, their school, or it's just their personal style that they developed over time. But the skater's street style has been commodified so much that you're more likely to think a person who dresses this way is just into streetwear, more so than assuming they're into the activity that these looks were originally inspired from. There's also some aesthetics that are more rooted in the desire for escapism, such as cottagecore or dark academia. These types of aesthetics seem to revolve around the idea of romanticizing your life that's most likely not even close to what these beautiful, luxurious aesthetics look like. I see this as a type of nostalgic reach towards the old world of analog as a result of the digitization of life in almost every aspect, and a type of emptiness that people often feel with this situation. But as the life cycle of any online trend goes, it's morphed into a collection of Pinterest posts more than anything, rather than an actual push towards a slower paced lifestyle. I don't think this is the people's fault, however. I think it's more so that access to these kind of leisurely lifestyles in the real world is almost impossible for the average person because you have to be pretty rich to be able to afford a picture perfect country house or even to attend an elite prestigious university, and you can't really blame people for dreaming about it. But there is still that cosplay aspect to these aesthetics with the romanticization of rural life in cottagecore, which in reality is actually closer to this than this. Or the visual presentation of the traditional Western elite academic life, but with the actual academic part left out. But real modern academic life usually looks more like this than this. So I kind of get why people are turned off by the real thing. It might sound like I'm trashing on aesthetics, but in the end, I do believe that people should be able to wear whatever they want and dress however they like. But I just think cycling through one aesthetic, one trend after another can get kind of bland at times, and not just for fashion. I think the digitization of our lives has watered down some of our genuine experiences into just optics. And maybe that's why people are hopping from one aesthetic to another more often because dressing up is fun. But it can get boring to wear the same thing over and over again, even for a very short amount of time, if you're just in it to show the clothes. Also, because aesthetics tend to stay on the surface level, I think people have a harder time developing an emotional connection or significant social ties to the communities or the subcultures that essentially inspired these aesthetics. It might be that subcultures are also moving into digital spaces more, just like everything else. So, on the good side, it has become more open and democratized, but oftentimes it's diminished into just an online trend. I also think the lack of community around aesthetics might also be because real life interaction is really important to people to truly feel like they belong to a community. And this is a major missing element of online aesthetics compared to what subcultures are built on. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more.